All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're breaking down the exact blueprint for building a tech startup completely from scratch. If you've ever had a really brilliant idea but felt kind of paralyzed by all the technical roadblocks, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to look at how modern tools have, well, completely rewritten the rules of entrepreneurship.
So think about this for a second. What if literally anyone, even a student, could transform a simple idea into a fully functional software startup without writing a single line of traditional code? I mean, it's a total game changer, right? You just don't need a massive, expensive engineering team or months of development time to launch a digital product anymore. The barrier to entry has essentially vanished.
Now, before we start playing with all the shiny new AI tools, let's just nail down two core terms so we have a solid baseline. First is SaaS, or Software as a Service. This is simply cloud-based software that users usually access via a subscription. Think of platforms like Netflix or Canva. And second is MVP, which stands for Minimum Viable Product. That's the absolute simplest, most basic version of your idea that you can actually put in front of real users to test if they, actually want it.
Okay, here is our roadmap for today. 1. From idea to validation. 2. Building the MVP rapidly. 3. Integrating artificial intelligence. 4. The power of reskinning. And 5. Monetization and launch. Let's dive right into this.
Phase 1. From idea to validation.
So to avoid that classic amateur mistake of writing code for a product that literally nobody wants, we use this exact sequence. It's basically your ultimate validation mantra. You don't start with a solution, you always start with a problem. Then you identify the specific client experiencing it. Only after doing that do you propose a solution. Next up, you look at your competitors, prove there's actual demand, and then figure out your economic model. Seriously, if you skip a step here, you risk building something totally useless.
Instead of just guessing, we use specific platforms to actually map our market. Google Trends shows you if demand for a topic is actually rising. Reddit lets you quietly observe real people complaining about real unmet needs. And you can leverage an AI search engine like Perplexity to instantly generate really deep market analysis. These tools detect actual demand before you build a single thing, which saves you the sheer frustration of spending months coding an app that no one ends up buying.
Phase 2. Building the MVP rapidly.
The crucial point to remember here is that software architecture isn't magic, right? It's really just a series of simple building blocks. A user interacts with an interface, which then talks to a backend. That backend pulls information from a database, and maybe it connects to an AI API to do some smart processing. When you view it this way, the flow of data becomes highly accessible and totally logical. It's like snapping digital Legos together.
Now, to build that interface, we have a whole spectrum of visual tools. But it's vital to understand the difference between designing a visual prototype and building a functional application. Tools like Figma are amazing for drawing out how things should look. Framer and Webflow are incredible for building fast, beautiful landing pages. But when you need a truly functional web app where users actually log in, save data, and interact, that's where no-code powerhouses like Bubble and Flutterflow come in.
And development approaches are just evolving so rapidly right now. On one side, you have no-code and low-code, where you literally snap visual blocks together to build out your logic. But on the other side, we have this new wave of AI coding, using tools like Cursor, GitHub Copilot, or Claude. With these, you just use plain text to tell the AI what you want, and it generates, explains, and corrects the code for you. Both approaches let you build incredibly fast without doing any traditional typing.
Phase 3. Integrating artificial intelligence.
For a solo entrepreneur, AI is absolutely a massive superpower. It's essentially a cheat code. We now have tools dedicated specifically to UI and UX, like Galileo AI, V0, and Lovable. You can literally type a text prompt describing a dashboard, and these tools will instantly generate a functional interface prototype. And over on the programming side, tools like Cursor and Bolt.new basically act as your senior developer, helping you prototype and write backend logic at absolute lightning speed.
So, what actually happens when you plug an AI API directly into your software? Well, you provide immediate, massive value to your user. You can easily add features like intelligent chatbots that answer user questions, automatic summarization tools for long, boring documents, or even the ability to upload a PDF and have the AI generate a custom quiz from it. I mean, these used to be enterprise-level features that took months to build. Now, with a single API connection, you can build them in an afternoon.
Phase 4. The power of reskinning.
Think of reskinning a lot like flipping a house. You take a legally obtained base application or template, you keep that solid foundation, but you completely change the paint, the branding, and the target audience. You're changing the name, the logo, the color palette, and the positioning. You end up using the exact same underlying technology, but you package it for a completely different user base. Now, I need to give you a very crucial warning here. While reskinning is an incredibly powerful strategy, it must be strictly ethical and legal. You absolutely must respect the licenses, copyrights, and terms of use of the code, the templates, and the images you're working with. You can't just take someone else's app, right? You must own the rights or use fully approved templates.
So, with a legal base in hand, here is your chronological workflow. You start with your authorized template. Then, you modify the UI, UX, and branding to fit your new niche. Next, inject a few custom features to tailor it perfectly. Rigorously test the whole thing, publish the new version, and finally, launch a targeted marketing campaign. It's just a super fast, highly repeatable cycle.
Phase 5, monetization and launch.
If you're going to run this business as a solo founder, you absolutely need the right stack. Stripe is the industry standard for collecting payments and handling recurring subscriptions. Paddle is fantastic if you need to handle tricky international SaaS taxes. For digital products, Gumroad is seamless. But your true secret weapons here are Zapier and Make. Think of them as your invisible digital employees, just quietly handling tasks and workflows behind the scenes, so you don't need to hire a massive team.
And the classic SaaS monetization journey usually looks exactly like this. You hook users with a free or freemium tier so they can experience the actual value of your app firsthand, completely risk-free. As their needs grow, they upgrade to a basic entry tier. Your power users will naturally move up to the Pro tier for advanced features, and eventually, if things go well, successful startups can charge premium rates at the business or enterprise scale.
Of course, to get people onto that free tier in the first place, you need marketing. And just like with development, AI has totally revolutionized this side of the business. You can use ChatGPT to generate your entire go-to-market strategy. Claude is fantastic for writing highly converting landing page copy. Canva and Midjourney handle your visual branding effortlessly. You can even use tools like Hagen and 11 Labs to generate highly realistic promotional videos with AI avatars and voiceovers. It basically automates your entire content creation process.
So to tie this all together, here is the ultimate practical challenge. I want you to build a fully functional SaaS startup with a core AI feature, create a reskinned variant of it for a completely different market, set up a real monetization strategy, and then be prepared to pitch the entire business in just 10 minutes. It's a pretty incredible synthesis of literally everything we've discussed today.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a thought that really captures the core philosophy of this entire blueprint. AI doesn't replace the entrepreneur. Instead, it gives them unprecedented speed, experimentation capacity, and creativity. You just don't need to wait for a massive budget or a huge engineering team anymore. Your job now is simply to find a problem, build a minimum viable product, and learn quickly.
So, the only thing left to ask is this. You now have the blueprint. You know exactly which no-code platforms to use, and you have this massive arsenal of AI tools at your fingertips to build, market, and monetize. So, what problem is your first startup going to solve? Get out there, find a real need, and just start building. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. See you next time.